But fellas, let's move on to our favorite subject on the Sports PSP podcast, babyface or heel. Now, for those who may not know what babyface heel means in wrestling language, babyface is a good guy, a heel is a bad guy, a tweener is someone in between. He is an absolute babyface. Rest his soul, John Witherspoon.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes, man. You're not only that, the whole Papa John's parody that he did. Bobby, cut Bobby. Man, I think that we all can relate to being a young dude. I think Friday is one of the most relatable movies that anybody could ever have. Because we all have that overbearing ass dad in your early 20s when you're trying to figure stuff out. And he's just on your case every day about
every time I come in the kitchen.
You
in the kitchen.
In the hot damn refrigerator.
In the goddamn refrigerator. Eating up all the food.
I think every young man can relate to that, man, because people don't understand how relatable that is. You have this young man, 21, maybe his early 20s, trying to figure life out, still living with his mom, dad, and his sister. And he has a girlfriend and he's trying to figure everything out. But, excellence is a must and failure is kind of not tolerated. So I think every young kid can relate to that. That's the most relatable. People always think about that as a black movie, and it is. But I think if you look closely at that, every young man can relate to that. Your early 20s, I never forget my early 20s. Like I said, I was in the Army. My dad like, hey, you gonna do like that? I'm in the Army. Like, I don't have to do that anymore. So it was just like, but at the same time, although your father is overbearing, he's right. He turned out to be right at the end of the day, especially when said you live and you live to fight another day. So
you win some and you lose some.
And he taught, and it's a lot of life lessons in that movie. But Undisputed Babyface, man, look, not just that, but the Boondocks, the Wayans brothers, and hey, man, look, he had a presence about him as well. He had a presence about him. Yes, it was playing, it was jokes, but he also had that seriousness about him as well. And there was no wonder why he was chosen to play the father on each and every movie and every single show that he was a part of. Because he had that presence. He had that fatherly-like presence that he had. And, hey, remind me of my father. Very, very playful, very, 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 very cool when he in the house. You get him outside. I ain't never see my dad smile outside the damn house. Like, yeah, we in the house playing and joking. We get outside. Damn, what happened to the smile? What happened to the laughing? He said, you got to let people know that you're serious outside, bro. That's what he used to tell me all the time. He was like, hey, man, don't go outside doing all that little smiling and grinning. Mofos don't take you serious when you're out there. They looking for a come up then, which I didn't get back then. But when I turned like 23 and I started going all over the world, I finally understood. Granted, I couldn't be like my father. I couldn't, scowl everywhere I go because that was not going to work for me. So it wasn't going to work. Can you imagine seeing me bad everywhere I go? You'll bet that don't even look right. So yeah, that was not going to work for me. But yeah, it's a lot of life lessons with and how relatable that movie is. Not just on that movie. Every time that he played the father in something, it taught a lesson. And people just look past the lesson because they want to laugh. And I think that he was the perfect father, you know what I'm saying? Every single role that he was in. Yeah, cheerful, funny as hell, can make you laugh. But also when it's time to get serious and put that hammer down, he didn't hesitate. So John Witherspoon, man, that was it. And same thing with John Amos, the late great John Amos, from Good Time, and Uptown Saturday Night. So they was the perfect fathers for their time. Old school, can laugh, but when it was time to be serious. And James Avery, by the way, shout out to the late great James Avery.
I was gonna bring him up as well.
Those were the perfect three fathers, man. James Avery, John Amos, and John Witherspoon, man. Those were the perfect three fathers, especially, that strong black presence. that you needed. Funny, but yet serious. And that's what every young man, I believe, needs. Like I said, my father was just like each and every last one of those guys. I saw my father in because he was just like all three of them. Funny, but yet serious as hell. And everybody knew he didn't take no nonsense. You know, my father, he was funny like John Witherspoon. He was professional like James Avery was in Fresh Prince. But he was also that. He was also a force to be reckoned with, just like John Amos was, man. And he didn't take no shit either. That's what I love about it. So John Witherspoon, undisputed babyface, man.
BRF.
Oh boy. Most definitely. Most definitely.
I'm sorry.
Babyface.
I love the Friday After Next scene when he slapped the mama in the face after tasting the barbecue sauce.
Let me tell you something. That whole scene of that commercial was one of the funniest things. I mean, and if you pay close attention to that scene at the end with Don DC Curry, he's like, "Ain't but one location, so it's near as you." I mean, ain't but one location, so it's near as you. I mean, just him, Don DC Curry, and John Witherspoon. You could tell were just made to be to be like the father and the uncle. You could just tell. You could just tell they're like the chemistry there was just is perfect. You could just see how they just offset each other so well in those movies. But just like from like the Friday movies and the Boondocks, oh, Robert Freeman, the Boondocks. Oh my gosh, the Boondocks. Let me tell you something. It's a shame. It's a shame he had. It's a shame he passed because we were about to get season 4, and he passed before they could really get it jump started. And no one else was gonna play Grandpa like John Witherspoon. I mean, he was just perfect for it. And I love the Boondocks because the Boondocks came. I feel like at a time where we kind of needed a show like that because it was like it just basically all of the black people stereotypes. It just like reinforced everything and just put them on the forefront. And it was just like, here you go. And it kind of allowed us to really like laugh at ourselves, which I think at that time we kind of needed to a little bit. So it was that show like came at like the perfect time as far as like us as a society. But just like so many different movie roles, just so many appearances. Like this, like he was underrated as a stand-up guy as well. I mean, just the dude was just naturally funny, man. It was not naturally funny, and now it's going forward with JD, his son. He's I follow him on IG. He's hilarious in his own right as well. And I mean, why wouldn't he be when you look at a guy like John Witherspoon and just kind of like the Wayans brothers? We can't talk about John Witherspoon without the Wayans brothers. I mean, like that was like for a while the Wayans brothers I feel like was one of the shows that carried like the early WB back.
Remember
in the
the
day.
episode when he pretended to be a rapper?
There was that one, and then there was the other one where he did the where he brought his old band back. When my love goes bang bang bang. Cover. And oh no, let me tell you something. I'm shouting out one of my high school classmates. He does one of the best John Witherspoon like imitations like I have ever seen. Like there's an old video that I think we had recorded when we was in high school, and it was him singing the song. I swear to God, it was one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life. So I got to shout out one of my old high school classmates. It was great, man. John Witherspoon, man, he's timeless. He's one of these comedians that's gonna be timeless. He's just like he's like his impact and his influence is gonna be felt for a long, long time. And just he kind of as far as the black comedy dad, like he's one of those that just sets the standards for that. because it's like he has his side where he's just like the funniest guy like in the movie, like the scene in Friday where he told Craig to come in the bathroom with him, and he just shh.
Bro, did you watch that full scene and did you listen closely when you see that scene?
I think I kind of know what you're talking about, but what part?
You know, when he invite Craig in the bathroom, and do you listen closely, man? If you listen very, very closely to the scene, you'll see, you'll hear what I'm talking about.
Yeah, yeah.
The other thing I heard was Groot. I'm like, what the heck? You can hear
Yes.
jumping in the pool.
Boy, the scene, the scene. Oh my gosh, the scene after he got bit by the dog. He laying in the bed. He laying in the bed watching the movie Man's Best Friend. And he laying there watching the movie
Get your
Man's Best
ass, Mr.
watching Man's Best
Postman.
Yeah, it's your ass, Mr. Postman. And he said, I'm talking about, hey man, hey, give me some water. And then Craig go fix the water, and then the piece of ice fell on the ground, and he don't blow off the ice. He just put the ice. He put the ice back in the cup, and he just take it to him. And like, man,
Long
let me
enough,
tell you,
I know.
God, oh my God, man, Friday for me I could just about recite that whole movie, beginning to end, line to line. That's like my favorite comedy movie of all time. But John Witherspoon, R.I.P. I tell you, man, he's timeless. Like his impact and his influence is gonna be felt probably forever. Like the man was just that funny and just that loved and respected by all of his peers and fans that just loved him and adored him. Man, shout out, R.I.P. to John Witherspoon. That's pops. He's pops to me. He will always be pops.
Absolutely. So John Witherspoon, easily a babyface. All right, another one for babyface or heel. Stephanie McMahon.
Thank you.
Babyface, my homie,
Yeah.
man. Babyface. There was a
She's
lot.
doing a tremendous job with her podcast, by the way.
Yes, she is. And look, regardless of the drama, you never heard her caught up into that drama that was going on in the family bit. The thing is, I could understand if people are going to say, I can't control somebody who's older than me. You're the matriarch of the family. I can't control it. And to their credit, they were smart enough to say, when everything kind of came down, hey, it's time for you to step back and kind of chill because you're costing us. And she stepped down when Vince came back. So, and look, BSP head might not have liked it, but I loved it when she told the fans, go get a VPN. Mind you, I'm making millions of dollars with this company. Get a VPN. Don't pay all that damn money. I admire somebody for that, especially when you got everything to gain and everything to lose. You got everything to lose. And look, as far as the character concerned, she's the ultimate lady heel, man. Billionaire princess, spoiled little brat, left her father's side to be along with the neighborhood jerk, that being Triple H, to even start her storyline. Because remember, to start off her storyline, it was Stone Cold Steve Austin saving her from The Undertaker.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And then from there, the storyline just evolved. She left her father's side in order to be with the neighborhood jerk that he warned her about. I think that's relatable as well. But I digress. But
remember when The Rock did a song about her?
Yeah. You know what? Happy birthday to Steph. Europe with So that was amazing. That was amazing, man. And she didn't mind being the butt of jokes either. I mean, did a lot of great things for SmackDown. SmackDown became the premier show because of her acting as the general manager along with Paul Heyman and some of the other writers on there. They were able to overtake Raw, which was not easy to do because Raw was the perennial show for a long time, and SmackDown was considered the B team show. But they were able to launch guys like Eddie Guerrero. They were able to launch guys like, Rey Mysterio that didn't have the prototypical size. They didn't have the prototypical size, but they were amazing wrestlers.
The SmackDown 6.
Yeah. So, I think Stephanie McMahon, she is a babyface. Like I said, regardless of her political alliances, hey, look, I'm going to just be real. My mom trying to run for office, she has political aspirations. There's a lot of deals that are going to be made. And guess what? That's my mom. Although I may not agree with it, I'm going to support it anyway. you're my mom. And that's probably the only reason I'm going to agree with it. So that's just how it goes. So I'll say undisputed babyface, man. I like Stephanie McMahon. Look, man, look. I'm just gonna be real. That face card don't decline. That face card do not decline. And look, man, it's so cool to see her. It's so cool, and I don't mean this in a derogatory, to see women evolve. It's so cool to see them go from the little princess to the damn head queen in charge to be a grown woman. Like, like, I'll give another example. You seen Maya lately? It's just so it's like, wow, I seen you go from a princess to this super queen. Like, damn, that's cool. And it's not in a, an explicit type of way. It's just like, damn,
a compliment.
It's a compliment. It's like, wow, you evolved. Your aura has evolved. Your education has evolved. Your demeanor has evolved. And the things that you may have stood for at one time does not apply to you anymore. So you don't even associate with that. So to see grown women evolve from being a princess to the head queen in charge is an amazing sight to see, because you are able to see how they evolved in their education, how they evolved from their mannerisms, how they evolved in their aura. You're able to see that. And when you get a look at that firsthand, and especially when it's on TV, it's like, wow, you have really grown up. And it's just like, and like I stated, it's not in a bad way or an explicit way. It's like in a great way. Like, damn, you really have grown up and became everything that you said you were going to become. We do that all the time. We do that all the time. Like, when we saw Kobe growing up right before our eyes, it was just like greatness. You just knew it. But from especially being a Nepo baby, people are going to say, well, you only got that job because of this person. Well, I mean, it ain't my damn job. It ain't my damn fault that my parents did their job. So I encourage nepotism. If I could give every last one of my friends jobs, knowing that they could do the job, I'd give every last one of them jobs. I encourage it.
BRF.
Yeah, Stephanie McMahon for me is a babyface. And she is like, when you think about, like, when I think about it personally, just growing up, being a young man, like going through the teenage years and adulthood, and all that stuff, like as far as like just some of the biggest like crushes I've ever had on like the divas, the women of wrestling. Like back then, it was Trish, and it was Mickey James, and it was Lita, and then you see Steph, and then how she grew and how she evolved. Like SmackDown general manager 2002 to 2004, Stephanie McMahon really needs to be studied, because there's no reason a woman should have been that fine. Just being straight up. And the fact that she was good at what she, and the fact that she was really good at what she did.
She was a heck of a heel.
She wasn't. She I think she's probably, in terms of the women, as far as being a heel, she's probably the greatest woman heel, in my opinion. Honestly, it should be a lot of people's opinion in the history of the business, just because of the depth that she was willing to go. Whether it was the McMahon Helmsley alliance when she first, when the thing with Triple H first started, and then the Authority, 2012, 2013, 2014, the Authority, just her promo work, her character work, her facial expressions, just you knew stuff was about to go down in certain situations when she had the microphone in her hand and she had a certain look on her face before she was getting ready to talk. You knew something was about to go down when the minute she opened her mouth. Like, she was one of those that you believe, even though she wasn't necessarily like the type to really get, in a physical altercation like that. She wasn't going to fight like that. You knew when she talked, you were going to believe every word she said, just from an authoritative standpoint, and just how serious she was as far as like her character and everything. So Steph, for me, is, like I said, I think she's the greatest woman's heel ever. And just, she's 49, people. She's 49 years old. She looks the same way she did when she was running SmackDown as a general manager. The woman has not aged. since the early 2000s. So shout out to Steph. For like Champ said, shout out to Steph. The face card pull is still pulling nothing but nines. It's crazy, but just the talent behind it. She's just taken to the business, and for me, she is still like one of the real bright spots as far as the business and everything she's doing, particularly with her podcast. Now, I saw she did the Hulu series, the Stephanie's Places.
Yes.
That was an amazing series. The interview she did, Rhea, Pat McAfee, the Bloodline,
Stone Cold Steve Austin.
I think she even got her own husband. She got Triple H in the series. Like just
Undertaker was also there as well.
She did one with the Undertaker as well. I think that's probably one of my favorite episodes was her and the Undertaker and just reliving those stories with him. And now what she's doing with her podcast that she's currently doing now. Just shout out to Stephanie McMahon, man. Like I said, I think she's still one of the bright spots of the business, despite being a McMahon. Just what she puts out there and what she wants to represent. I mean, there's nothing but good coming out of her. And shout out to Steph, man. Continue success, man. Keep doing what you're doing. Like I said, she's still one of the bright spots of the business. So shout out to Steph.
Absolutely. And last one. This is a football player. Brian Urlacher.
I gotta go tweener.
He was a hell of a linebacker.
Mm-hmm.
He was a great football player, but his political views.
Yeah, like I said, some of the things that he said politically in recent years is kind of like as great as he was as a middle linebacker. Because I mean, for me, he's definitely in conversations of top 5 middle linebacker of all time. How good he was in Chicago, but yeah, just like, and you wouldn't, and I feel like a lot of these football players that have the political beliefs that they have, like you wouldn't think so when you think about the teammates that they've had in their careers. But you can't always necessarily like control what somebody does off the field or what they say off the field. But so for me, it's really not a lot to really like harp on with Brian Urlacher as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, like a lot of his beliefs and things he said, yeah, he's definitely a tweener. But when you look at him just from the field, on the field, and just how good he was as a middle linebacker, he kind of like you had like him and Ray Lewis and like the Patrick Willises of the world who really kind of like helped revolutionize the middle linebacker spot from a standpoint of just all around like power, speed, being able to cover receivers out the backfield, being able to cover tight ends, having hands, just being able to just true all around middle linebackers. I feel like they kind of revolutionized that and kind of like what we're seeing today. So yeah, I would say Brian Urlacher for me is a tweener.
Big fella.
Your question be on start bench cut. Well, both of y'all start bench cut. Patrick Willis, Luke Kuechly, or Brian Urlacher. Start bench cut.
Why you had to do that?
No,
why you had to do that?
No, because I ain't gonna lie though. Because for me, this actually is it's hard, but I kind of have an idea of where I want to go with this because I want to look at it as far as I want to rank it as far as like the all around. You might get a kick out of how I rank this, but I'm really ranking this. I'm probably going to start. Gosh, I can't believe I'm gonna say this, but this is how I feel. I'm gonna start Luke Kuechly. I'm gonna bench Patrick Willis, and I'm gonna cut Brian Urlacher. Because I just feel like from a I feel like just from like a cover, like from being a coverage linebacker standpoint, and Brian Urlacher wasn't a bad coverage linebacker. Don't get it twisted. I just felt like Luke,
Kuechly's head and shoulders as far as
yeah,
with coverage.
exactly. Like it was for me. For me, it's Kuechly's IQ and being able to read the play, see the play, dissect the play before it even happens, and then being able to match that with the athleticism to not only have the strength to be able to play down in the box or play in the run, but being able to cover
Who would you
receivers and
say is
tight
the better
ends and stuff.
tackler between the three?
Patrick Willis.
The I would, yeah, I would probably say I would
I was
probably
leaning towards Brian though.
I like. I think Urlacher's the best athlete of the three, and I'm looking at it from the standpoint of how freaking big Brian Urlacher was.
About like what he's
Because
like 6'3", 6'4", probably 260.
6'4", 260. Like playing 6'4", 255, something like that, playing middle linebacker. Because Patrick Willis, I think is the smallest of the three. I think he was like 6'3", 235. Patrick Willis is the fastest of the three because he was running like a 4.38 coming out of Ole Miss. Yeah, he was like, I think he was like, he might be 5'11". I think he was built. I think he was built at like 6'1", 6'1", like 235. But the thing is, Brian Urlacher was running. Patrick Willis was running like a. Yeah, he was running
He's
like
listed as 6'1".
Yeah, that's what I thought. He was listed at 6'1", but he was like I said, Patrick Willis was one of the 4.38 out coming out of Ole Miss, coming out of college, and that was one of those things that kind of set him apart from a lot of other linebackers. But yeah, for me, is Kuechly, like I said, his head for the game and just being able to have the athleticism to go along with it, and it's really close for me between Willis and Urlacher. But I think why I lean Willis is, like I said, it's his sideline to sideline ability, his downhill ability to be able to hit the run, to hit the play the run and hit the running backs the way he could, and then to have enough of ability to cover and be able to force the turnovers that he did. But for me, it's just I don't know. I look at Luke Kuechly and I look at Patrick Willis and just doing it in the time they did. Because let's be real, they didn't have as long careers as Brian Urlacher did, and they really put up like really a lot of all the same achievements that Brian Urlacher was able
Luke
to.
Kuechly, I think in year 2, he won Defensive Player of the
Player of
Year.
the Year. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like they did pretty much everything Brian Urlacher did in a shorter amount of time. So that's why I look at Luke Kuechly and Patrick Willis, and that's why I would have them ahead of Brian Urlacher. But hey, ladies and gentlemen, let's not get it twisted. Brian, back in the day, we would play Madden like on the PlayStation 2 and all that other stuff. Boy, one of my favorite defenses to play was the Chicago Bears, just to control Brian Urlacher, because you knew the running back wasn't going to be able to go sideline to sideline on you. So it was just a matter of you going to make him throw the ball. Brian Urlacher was still one of them ones. So when we do start bench cuts, this ain't knocking anybody because they're all really good players. It's just a matter of preference and who you lean toward at the end of the day.
Big fella. Okay, I was leaning towards Patrick Willis to start, but I probably have to go with Kuechly only because of the IQ. Athleticism, Patrick Willis, I believe, is just the better one. I wasn't even thinking about that question until you. Like, unfortunately, I have to cut. Even though he clears them in terms of longevity, but when you look at Kuechly's peak from 2012 to 2009, 2000, I think that's how long he lasted. Ironically, the same time as Andrew Luck. But still, that peak and how he was the best at his position at that time. There was him. You also thought about Patrick Willis. You also thought about Bobby Wagner from the Seattle Seahawks. Kuechly, you have to start at 1. Willis, you start at 2. And sadly, you have to go Urlacher at 3. So I agree with BRF from that standpoint. If you're looking at it from that standpoint, because I was leaning towards either Patrick or Luke to start. I was leaning towards Patrick because of the athletic ability, but you have to go with Kuechly because of the instincts, and he does have the accomplishments as well to go along with it. But I say tweener with Brian Urlacher because, again, with the political things that he said. Only funny thing with Brian Urlacher, though, I mean, he was trying to the hairstyle, the hairdo that he kind of was rocking with a little bit. So I don't know what he was thinking with that one, but Champ, the floor is yours.
You're a tweener, Urlacher, man.
I don't know if Champ want to rock that hairstyle. But I mean,
I'm gonna keep my hair. Either I got the hat on or I got that low haircut. I ain't finna be putting all that shit on my head. That ain't me. I gotta keep it simple, man. So I go to the barbershop. It take them like 20 good minutes to cut my hair and edge me up. I'm out the door. So I can't complicate life. But anyway,
right.
Well, you don't want to be Dennis Rodman?
No, I can't.
No.
There's only there's only one Dennis Rodman. I don't know how I look with certain shit on my head. You know, I tried doing that in creative players on Madden and NBA Live when I was really playing games. Like, nah, that don't look good. Let me take that off. So, people don't understand this when we say political. It's not just political. It's like right and wrong. You know, there's a difference between being political and right and wrong. I never forget this. And I hate to say this, and I'm going to just bring this up. I never forget during the height of the first Gulf War. I remember Charles Barkley wore a certain hat. It pertains to Iraq. During the Kuwaiti Wars. Right? That's being political. When it gets to a point where you want to mistreat somebody because of political beliefs, then you got to a bad point. It goes past politics. So I want to be very, very clear when we say political beliefs. You have a right to have your own political beliefs, your values, and norms. But when it gets to the point where it's hurting another group of people or persons, then it's no longer political. It's really you being a dick at that point. That's just being real. And there's a lot of things that he said that's kind of questionable to me if you really want me to be honest about it. Like I said, political beliefs are yours. Hell, Sammy Davis Jr. and Wilt Chamberlain, as well as James Brown, supported Richard Nixon. Let's just be clear. At the same time, you knew those men had some moral compass about themselves. It's not about political beliefs. It's about your moral compass. Let's just be clear. So, with that being said, man, tweener, hell of a linebacker. But the thing is, with Brian Urlacher, it was always this grudging process for me because I never considered him the best linebacker in the league. That title belonged to Ray Lewis.
Ray Lewis.
I mean, the thing was, in my humble opinion, he was never the best linebacker in the league. It was always Ray Lewis. And especially when those two young men came in the league, he was even pushed back a little bit more. Is he even the best Bear linebacker we've ever seen? Probably not. That probably might belong to Mike Singletary. So there's a lot of things when it comes to him as far as athletically is concerned. Yes, he's a great linebacker. Was he ever the best in the league? No. It was that title belonged to Ray Lewis. And then when Luke Kuechly came into the league and Patrick Willis came into the league, then the title it was them, Ray Lewis. It was them and Ray Lewis. Hell, I remember when they was making the argument whether he was the best linebacker on his team. Remember, a lot of people were saying that title belonged to Lance Briggs at a certain point. Remember that?
Yeah,
I remember that, but I wasn't gonna give him that much.
Yeah, a lot of people were saying that title belonged to Lance Briggs at a certain point. Yeah, but everybody was there. But the thing is, you gotta ask yourself a question. When you're considered the best linebacker, is there ever even a question of whether you're the best linebacker on your own team? Was that ever a question about Patrick Willis?
I never see. Me personally, I never questioned that. Brian Urlacher was the best linebacker on the team. I never questioned that.
Well, no, not you, but I'm talking about if talking heads are questioning your position on your own team, then that's a whole nother conversation to be had.
That's a whole different can of worms. Exactly.
With Ray Lewis, although he had Eldrin Hartwell, Peter Bullware, Terrell Suggs, a lot of other great linebackers, there was never a question about who was the best linebacker on that team. Luke Kuechly had Thomas Davis from where? UGA, all pro bowler. But there was no question about who was the best linebacker on that team. Patrick Willis had 4 all-pros on his team, including himself. Alden Smith, Navarro Bowman, and then it was Brooks. And it was Brooks.
Yeah, Ahmad Brooks.
And then before him, it was Manny Lawson. Remember Manny Lawson? He was a hell of a run stopper. But even though he had 4 all-pros on his team, all of them made all-pro. And remember, him and Navarro Bowman, they used to call them the dynamic duo, the first duo to make all-pro together. There was never a question of who was the best linebacker on that team. Everybody knew the man was Patrick Willis. So, yeah, and the thing is, with all the great linebackers in history, like I said, there was never any question about Ray Lewis as far as him being the best in the league. I always felt like Ray Lewis was one, and then it's kind of like the Kevin Durant LeBron effect, if you really want me to be honest with you, except for Brian, like he never left Chicago. It's kind of like that for a long, long time. Because Ray Lewis was the best, absolute best in the league, and he had the personality on to back it up. Now, in fairness, I will say this: Ray had the better organization. Better organization because they were able to build teams around Ray and that defense and the offensive players for years. It was rare that he didn't really go through any super down years. They might have had a down year one year, but then they was back up the very next year. With Brian Urlacher, it's a grudging process with the Chicago.
It does help Ray Lewis, especially when you have the great Ozzie Newsome, one of the greatest GMs around you, and to build you with that defense. And also with the running game with also Jamal Lewis as well. And then later on in Ray Lewis's career, when you did give him a little bit more offensive weapons. You did give him Flacco. You did give him Todd Heap, Ray Rice, Torrey Smith. So it was able to help out with Ray Lewis. But that Chicago team, that 06 team, when they went to the Super Bowl, man, Lovie Smith, that was a hell of a defense. Him, Briggs, Charles Peanut Tillman. I mean, that was a damn good defense during those times. But I'll lean towards Tweener with Urlacher.